Welcome, come on in. I've got a very weird game for you, but I promise it's also quite charming. It's called Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. Before the end of the year on our Vic's Basement podcast, I actually welcomed the creator of Arzette. His name is Seth Fulkerson, and he was joined by Audie Sorley from Limited Run Games, who is the publisher of this title, in to talk to me about this concept, and it was a great conversation. I recommend you watch it. But this is a game that was really spawned out of the idea that the CD-i games, the Phillips CD-i games, specifically the Zelda adventures, and there were two of them, were worth re-examining, because Seth Fulkerson, who created Arzette, at one point went back and remade those two original Philips CD-i Zelda games and released them as free playable games for people to just download and check out. And he said, well, I'm going to make a spiritual successor to that experience, and that's exactly what Arzette turned out to be. And I was very appreciative of the commitment that I was seeing, especially from Limited Run Games, because this seems like such an obscure idea. Not many people even know what the hell the Philips CD-i is, let alone sort of doubling down and creating a new game in that style. But man, I am really glad that they did, because I'll tell you what, this game is incredibly fun.
Whoa, this isn't a charity, friend. Pay with something, will ya?
At first, I was checking it out, and I was really impressed with the weird cut sequences that were. I tweeted a little bit about that. They're just so odd. The faces distort, and you're zooming into things, and characters will point right at the screen. The camera feels like it's always moving, and the animation just feels so handmade. It feels so rough-edged and raw, and it's almost like somebody made it on an iPad or so. I don't know how the art was created, but I think back in the day it was created like using Microsoft Paint or something equivalent to that to just try to rotoscope and create all of these different elements in there.
Oh, I resolve to see all colors, not just what these puny eyes can show me. I will alchemize these shrimp goggles. You'll see. Or rather, I'll see.
And it looks like some kind of wacky 1970s cartoon, and so I was really digging the weird cut sequences, the crazy over-the-top voices that all of these characters have as you're meeting them along the way, and then the gameplay started to dig its hooks into me as well, and I think that this game is maybe less of a Zelda experience. Maybe it's a lot like, I've never played those original Zelda games, but maybe you can conceive of it as less of a Zelda game and more of like a Metroid Light, because you run around as Arzette and you've got all of these different areas that you can jump to, signified by locations on a map, and you just sort of pop into an area, you collect something from there, or you do an objective like get something to a character that's asking for a specific thing, like a frog might need a bug or something like that, and then you'll be gifted an item, and invariably these items will grant you access to new levels. And so there's a lot of retraversal in the game, which is, a la Metroidvania titles out there. So you're going back into areas with new equipment and new abilities that allow you to keep accessing new points. And the mechanics are pretty damn good. You're not going to mistake this for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. You're not going to mistake this for Metroid Dread or anything like that. There's lots of great Metroidvanias out there. But the jumping feels pretty solid. The sword combat feels pretty solid. At first, it felt very slight to me, like I didn't really feel the connection on the sword combat. But you start to kind of sync with its rhythms, and it's about sort of pixel placement of your character and the animation, and you can kind of stop dying so much, because the game at first feels a little unfair. It's like you don't even kind of feel the hits, but you see your heart's depleted, and then you've got to try it again and try it again. That trying again is kind of part of the process. But you also start to level up, and you get this kind of fairy dust-powered ray gun that can shoot different colored bolts of energy at bad guys and unlock crystal sort of pathways and stuff like that. The boss fights aren't incredibly intense or incredibly difficult, but more than anything, I just found this game incredibly inviting and charming and enjoyable to play. I was also a huge fan of the music choices in here, which definitely sound out of time and unique.
If you ever need something special done with that little sword of yours, just drop by and I'll give it a shellacking.
Well, everything about this game feels different, and I like that. I think that's its sort of reason to exist. It feels very fresh, and it does deliver way more gameplay than I was expecting. You are bouncing back and forth into all of these really well-rendered environments with lots of really fantastic backdrops, and everything looks fine-tuned and handcrafted and made with a lot of love as well. It seems crazy, this whole concept that a game like this exists in 2024, but that's the story, man. Video games can be a whole bunch of different things, and you have to applaud the creativeness of this title and also the commitment from Limited Run Games to see this through and get this out there. I think you got to check this one out. I don't know if they've put a demo out there or not, but this is definitely something to watch up. Hopefully some of the gameplay footage here has given you an example of how charming this game is. I've tried not to spoil too much with the cut sequences and stuff. You have to experience those. But I had a big smile on my face. At first I was like, man, this is kitschy. I don't know if I'm going to dig it. And then I really like this game. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to give Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, an 8 out of 10.